Assalamualaikum. Hello and welcome. We are from Group 6C, Semester A221. We are going to present our project report, which is SQS Alumni Survey. The subject for this report is Data Exploratory and Generalization with course code SQQS1033 under lecturer Dr. Muhammad Shukri bin Abdul Hamid. Group 6C consists of 5 students, which is including myself, Wan Muhammad Daniel, Nasrin Raihana, Nur Safia, Nisa Fatini, and Wan Jun. Okay, we will move to the introduction of this data project report. So, in this introduction, we will look at the overview of the study. So, the overview of the study is to investigate the employability status of sample from SQS alumni. And then we look at the significance of the study. There are 4 significance, which are students can identify number of alumni that can be employed for job. Second, they can find the highest number or mode as well as average or mean of CGPA and salary obtained by SQS alumni students. Next, students also can identify number of data that contains invalid information given by SQS alumni. And the last one is students can conclude the shape, distribution, and spreadness of the graph. Next, we look at the objectives of the study. There are 5 objectives that we can gain from this study. First one, to describe the demographic of the respondents, which including program, race, gender, hometown, CGPA, and family income. Next, students will analyze and compare CGPA between gender, admission, program, race, total semester status, working sector, and type of work. C. Students will analyze and compare salary between gender, program, race, working sector, and type of work. D. To identify and interpret relationship between CGPA and SPM Maths, SPM at Maths, SPM English, MUET, total semester, working experience, and salary. And the last one, the objective of the study is to identify and interpret relationship between salary and total semester and working experience.
Determine the correct sample from the population. Using solving's formula, an appropriate sample size can be determined to ensure the validity of the study. The solving formula is N is population size divided by 1 plus N times E, which is margin of error power of 2. In this assignment, there is a total of 2,262 respondents in the survey. So the N is 2,262 divided by 1 plus 2,262 times 0.05 power of 2. A total of 340 sample size will be chosen for the study. First of all, a data cleaning process will be carried out to ensure there is no duplicate and incomplete data within the data. Next, simple random sampling method. One of the probability sampling method is used to choose the sample size among the population. Finally, a new data set of 340 sample size is obtained and then the analysis part can be processed.
Next is Objective 1, to describe the demographic of respondents based on gender, entrance qualification, CGPA, salary, ethnic, program, and state. First is gender. The gender of 2,262 participants respondents can be seen in the figure above. Male and female are the only 2 genders at play. According to the outcome, 31.3% of the respondents, 708 are male, and 68.7% of respondents, 1,554 are female. As a result, you can draw the conclusion that there are more women in the population. Next is entrance qualification. The source of entrance qualifications among the 2,262 respondents are shown in the above figure. With a total of 1,293 respondents, SDPM received the highest proportion of responses, 57.2%, followed by matriculation with 324 respondents or 14.3% of the total respondents. 322 diploma qualifiers, 14.2%, follow next, with 162 and 161 respondents respectively. The percentages for STAM and other qualification are 7.2 and 7.1. As a result, the majority of respondents have completed STPM. Next is CGPA. This graph displays the frequency data for the CGPA category among all 2,262 respondents. As the CGPA index only ranges from 0.00 to 4.00, the table shows that the mean CGPA of respondents is 3.1085 and the standard deviation is 0.52310. M equals to 3.105, FC equals to 0.52310. The least and maximum CGPAs fall within a range of 1.94, with the majority of respondents, 85 of them, having CGPAs of 3.74 above. This graph displays the frequency statistics for the salary category among the 2,262 total respondents, with 2,169 valid responses and 93 missing responses. Respondents without salaries are represented by missing data. According to the table, the mean annual wage of the respondents is 6,408 ringgit and 48 cents, and their standard deviation is 2,790.785, showing that these figures are very variable within each group. The wage range is 11,700 ringgit with 600 ringgit as the minimum and 12,300 ringgit as the maximum. Next is ethnic. The data analysis of the various ethnic groups that responded to the alumni SQS survey is shown in the figures. The pie graph demonstrates that the majority of responders are Chinese. With 809 out of a total of 2,262 respondents who filled out the poll, they have the highest proportion of 36%. 0.29 is a relative frequency. The survey's largest sample size belongs to that as well. Indian respondents to this study are the least numerous. They received 322 responses, or 40% of the 2,262 total, giving them a percentage of 14%. Next is program. The data analysis for the courses students who responded to the Alumni SPS survey took is shown in the figures. The pie chart reveals that decisional science is the program of choice for the majority of respondents. The program has 1,251 respondents out of a total of 2,262 for the highest proportion of 55%. They have a 0.55 relative frequency, the least number of survey respondents that chose mathematics as their program of study. The program had the lowest response rate, 22%, with a total of 489 responses out of a total 2,262. Lastly is state. The data analysis of the respondents' hometowns from the Alumni SQS survey is shown in the figures. The pie chart reveals that Perak has the highest proportion of responses. Out of the 2,262 people who responded to the survey, 310 had the highest response rate of 13%. They have a 0.14 relative frequency. Negeri Sembilan and Perlis have the fewest respondents with 44 each out of a total of 2,262. They also have their lowest response rates at 2%.
For Objective 2, to analyze and compare GPA between gender, interest qualification, program, ethnic, total semester status, working sector, type or level of course. To analyze and compare GPA between gender. From the graph, the highest frequency for the female alumni is in class 3.0 until 3.49. It means that most of the female alumni gets GPA in class 3.00 until 3.49, while the highest frequency for the male is in class 3.50 until 3.99. The alumni graduate with highest GPA will mostly male. The median of the data is 39.5 and the variance of the sample data is 422.57. The spinous of this graph is positive value 0.2723. We show that the graph is skewed to the right, while the cortices of this graph is negative value negative 1.357, which is approximately mesocritic. For 2.2, to analyze and compare GPA between interest qualification. From the graph, we can see that STPM have the highest frequency in all classes. The median of the data is 10, and the variance of the sample data is 449.47. The skewness for this graph is positive value 1.726, which show that the graph is skewed to the right, while the cortices of the graph is positive value 2.784, which is approximately lithocritic. Next, 2.3, to analyze and compare GPA between programs. According to the result of the graph, it shows that program for decision science alumni have the highest frequency than the other program alumni. The highest frequency for the decision science program alumni is in class 3.0 until 3.49. We know that by looking at the average that the alumni graduate with the highest GPA will mostly decision science program alumni. However, the other program will have lowest GPA compared to decision science program. The median of the data is 22 and the variance of the sample data is 246.97. The squeeze of this graph is positive value 1.44. We show that the graph is skewed to the right, while the cortices of this graph is positive value 0.79, which is approximately misperfect. Next, 2.4, to analyze and compare GPA between ethnic. According to the result of this graph, it shows that Chinese alumni have the highest frequency than the other ethnic alumni. The highest frequency for Chinese alumni is between 3.00 until 3.49. The median of the data is 19.5 and the variance of the sample data is 202.87. The skewness of this graph is positive value 0.6612, which show that the graph is skewed to the right, while the cortices of this graph is positive value 0.1353, which is approximately miscritic. Next, we go to the relationship between GPA and total semester. From the graph above, it shows that the semester 6 alumni has the highest frequency than the other semester alumni in all classes, except in class 2.0 until 2.49. While semester 9 alumni is the lowest, the median of the data is 0, while the variance of the sample data is 748.319. The skewness of this graph is positive value 2.555. We show that the graph is skewed to the right, while the cortices of this graph is positive value 6.0352, which is approximately lithocritic. For the relationship between CGPA and working status, from the graph obtained, it shows that the highest frequency is 100T in class 3.0 until 3.49. The graph also shows that all the alumni is working. Most of the alumni that working gain CGPA around 3.0 until 3.49. The median of the data is 30.5, while the variance of the sample data is 2,251.43. The skewness of this graph is positive value 0.2899. We show that the graph is skewed to the right, while the cortices of this graph is negative value negative 2.1889, which is approximately lithocritic. Next, we go to the relationship between CGPA and working sector. From the graph obtained, it shows that alumni that work in private working sector has the highest frequency than the alumni that work in own working sector, and the alumni that work in public sector in class 3.50 until 3.99, which is 89. The median of the data is 18.5, while the variance of the sample data is 876.061. The skewness of this graph is positive value 0.9819, which shows that the graph is skewed to the right, while the characteristics of this graph is negative value negative 0.140, which is approximately mesocritic. And the last relationship for the CGPA and type or level of work, we can see that from the graph above, it shows that the alumni that work as an executive has the highest frequency than the writer, lecturer, miscellaneous, and the teacher in class 3.00 until 3.49, which is 81. The median of the data is 80.5, while the variance of the sample data is 876.061. The skewness of this graph is positive value 0.9819, which shows that the graph is skewed to the right, while the characteristics of this graph is negative value negative 0.1540, which is approximately mesocritic.
I will be presenting Objective 3, which is to analyze and compare salary between 5 categories, which are gender, program, ethnicity, working sector, and type of work. So now we will look at 3.1, which is relationship between salary and gender. From the table, we can see that female alumni have the highest frequency in all classes compared to male alumni. The mode in the table is 55 female students in class 2001 until 4000. The mean for this data is 28.33, median is 25.5, and the variance is 303.515. The skewness of this graph is a positive value, which is 0.0984, which shows that the graph is approximately normal, while the characteristic has a negative value, negative 1.3843, which is plutocratic. Next, 3.2, relationship between salary and program. From the table, we can see that decision science alumni have the highest frequency in all classes except in class 0 until 2000. The mode in the table is 47 students from decision science in class 2001 until 4000. The mean for this data is 18.89, median is 16.5, and the variance is 178.3399. The skewness of this graph is positive value 0.7522, which shows that the graph is approximately normal, while the characteristic has a negative value, which is negative 0.3075, which is approximately mesocritic. Next is 3.3, relationship between salary and ethnicity. From the table, we can see that ethnic groups have the highest frequency vary in all classes. The mode in the table is 38 Chinese students in class 6001 until 8000. The mean for this data is 14.17, median is 11, and the variance is 155.5362. The skewness of this graph is a positive value 0.5937, which shows that the graph is approximately normal, while the characteristic has a negative value negative 0.8545, which is approximately mesocritic. Next is 3.4, salary versus working sector. From the table, we can see that working sectors have the highest frequency vary in all classes. The mode in this table is 78 students working in public sector in class 2001 until 4000. The mean for this data is 18.89, median is 16, and the variance is 659.281. The skewness of this graph is a positive value, 1.3859, which shows that the graph is skewed to the right, while the characteristic has a positive value, 0.7065, which is approximately mesocritic. The last one is 3.5, which is salary versus type of work. From the table, we can see that the type of works that have the highest frequency vary in all classes. The mode in this table is 64 students working as executive work in class 2001 until 4000. The mean for this data is 11.33, median is 1.5, and the variance is 410.1609. The skewness of this graph is a positive value, 1.9266, which shows that the graph is skewed to the right, while the characteristic has a positive value, 2.3323, which is leptocritic.
Good day. Now I will be presenting on Objective 4, which is the interpretation of relationship between CGPA and SPM Maths, SPM Maths, SPM English, MUET, total semester, working experience, and salary. First of all, we will look into the model summary. With R-square value of 0.812, it indicates that 81.2% of variance in the CGPA can be explained by 7 predictor variables. This shows that it is an excellent model. In this section, we choose to combine all of the variables to avoid a low value in R-squared. This is because if we run the variables separately in SPSS, only an average of 38% in R-squared can be obtained, which may not fit the model. For the coefficient table, we talked about the influence between the variables. Since most of the variables are significant, we can look into the standardized coefficient beta value. The higher the value, the higher the contribution. For example, the beta value of negative 0.56 is said to have the highest contributions among the variables. As the index is inverse for SPM Maths, Maths, and English, it means that even the beta is negative, it is actually positive. Therefore, the higher the score in English subject during SPM, the higher the CGPA, with the beta value of negative 0.56, followed by SPM Maths with negative 0.195 in the beta value. Whereas the total semester and working experience is totally not significant according to the significant value and beta value. Only a significant value which less than 0.05 would be taken into consideration. Next will be the correlation table. In the correlation analysis, we talked about the strength and the direction of the relationship between two variables. By looking at the Pearson correlation value, we know that the higher the value, the stronger the relationship. Therefore, SPM English, SPM, Maths, and WET would have the most strongest association between CGPA compared with other variables according to the high R value. For example, when there is increase in CGPA, SPM English would corresponding to 85.9% of it, followed by 73.9% in SPM Maths and 63.4% in WET. Since the index is also inverse, we can assume that the relation is said to be positively correlated. Moreover, these variables are all significant by applying with the same rules of 0.05 in the significant value. This is because it can also support the analysis in coefficient table as well. However, the working experience is not significant with the high value in significant value of 0.157.
I will be presenting Objective 5 to identify and interpret relationship between salary and total semester and also working experience. According to correlation analysis, both of the predictive variables, namely working experience and total semester, are found to be significant with their both p-value of 0.000. For working experience, it is positively correlated by weak association to salary 0.263, which indicates that when working experience increases, salary increases. In contrast, total semester negative 0.529 shows negatively correlated and moderate association towards salary. This implies that when the respondents took longer period to graduate, they are less competitive in terms of their salary paid. Based on model's summary table, the R-squared of 0.304 implies that only 30.4% of the variance in salary can be explained by total semester and working experience. Therefore, there is not an ideal model where other variables should be included for future study. From the coefficient table, both predictive variables, namely working experience P equal to 0.001 and total semester P equal to 0.000, were found to be of significance in explaining salary of the sample, which fits to the model. The largest beta coefficient is found in total semester, beta equals 0.496, and followed by working experience beta equals 0.160. This means that total semester makes the strongest contribution to explain the CGPA even with a negative sign.
Next is conclusion. In conclusion, this survey has been done with a total of 2,262 respondents. The highest respondents are female with a total of 1,554 respondents, which is higher than the male respondents with a total of 708 respondents. For entrance qualification, the highest respondents took STPM with a total of 1,293 students. As for CGPA, the highest respondents have graduated with a total of 3.96. After the students have graduated, they are also required to fill in their salaries with their current jobs. The highest salary filled in the survey is 12,300 ringgit, and the lowest salary filled in the survey is 600 ringgit. For ethnicity, the highest respondents are Chinese with a total of 809 respondents. The lowest respondents that took the survey are Indian with a total of 322 respondents. There are 3 programs offered in SQS, which are Decisional Science, Mathematics, and Statistics. The highest respondents took Decisional Science with a total of 1,251 respondents as their choice of major in SQS. The lowest respondents took mathematics as their choice of major in SQS. Based on the results of the survey, we have determined that the highest respondents come from Perak with a total of 310 respondents. The lowest number of respondents come from Negeri Sembilan and Perlis with a total of 44 respondents respectively. The quantitative variables are gender, entrance qualification, program, ethnic, total semester status, working status, working sector, and type or level of work. Based on the results of relationship between CGPA and gender, we have determined that the female alumni have achieved higher CGPAs compared to the male alumni. For the relationship between CGPA and entrance qualification, the results show that the highest frequency is SGPM compared to the other types of entrance qualification. Next, the relationship between CGPA and program results to decisional science having the highest CGPA achieved by the alumni. The highest CGPA achieved in the study on the relationship between CGPA and ethnic are Chinese. For the relationship between CGPA and the total of semesters, the highest CGPA achieved are by the alumni who have completed their programs by a total of 6 semesters. In a study on the relationship between CGPA and working status, the data shows us that all of the alumni is working and has graduated with a CGPA in a range of 3.00 to 3.49. The data also shows that the relationship between CGPA and working sector, most of our respondents are currently working in a private working sector and have achieved CGPA range in around 3.50 to 3.99, which is 89 respondents in total. For Objective 3, we have analyzed the relationships between salary and gender, program, ethnic, working sector, and type of work. The data shows us that the female alumni have a higher salary than male alumni. The most programs with the highest salaries taken by our alumni are from decisional science. The highest ethnicity with the highest salaries are Chinese. The highest working sector with the highest salary are currently working in public sectors. The type of work that has the highest salary is executive work. Thank you. That is all from our group.